solar projects we completed between 2015 to 2020.
In the absence of adequate water supply, sanitation and hygiene practices, life will be devoid of the needed pleasure and dignity. That explains why governments across the world pay special attention to the provision of adequate potable water. Way back in 2016, at the early stage of this administration, the federal government launched the Partnership for Expanded Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene, PEWASH, and also unveiled the National Water Resources and National Irrigation Policies. This is part of the effort to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals SDG 6, as well as keeping on with its development policy. In recognition of this, the Ministry of Water Resources made strong commitment to the provision of access to potable water and others incidental to irrigation, power, and indeed all other areas of inevitable need for water in both urban and rural areas. This purposeful synergy is impacting on public health and poverty alleviation in Nigeria through the achievement of SDGs targets. Between 2015 and 2020, the federal government's provision in the area of water supply has given access to over 71% of the population, meaning that over 12.5 million additional Nigerians now have direct access to potable water. This success story is evidenced perhaps in the adoption of the policies and projects by various subnational governments dovetailing to rural communities. Weekend File tonight X-rays federal government's effort towards provision of water supply and usage. Of course, we have situation reports from various zones, and guests are the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, and former Director, Water Supply, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Benson Ajishegiri. I am Kenen Ima Abodike. Let's start with the news of the day. Muhammadu Buhari has received Queen's Baton in Nigeria ahead of Birmingham 2022 Commonwealth Games. Oluseye Adabo reports that Nigeria is the first African nation to host the Queen's Baton, after which it will continue its tour to 15 other African countries before proceeding to Asia.
Vice President Yemi Oshibajo receiving the Queen's Baton on behalf of the President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House in Abuja. For the Nigerian leadership of the sports sector, preparation has begun in earnest, with optimism that Team Nigeria will outshine its previous outing at the event.
Nigerian athletes will join their brothers and sisters at the Games, as we have done at several of the Games since we first attended in 1950, when Joshua Majekodunmi won our first medal in the high jump event. Since then, our athletes have won no less than 236 medals at the Games, and we are set.
In realization of this objective, we're quite confident with the commitment of Mr. President in ensuring that funds are made available towards this, just like we received previous supports.
In the spirit of the Commonwealth, which is humanity, equality, diversity. These games are very special because they represent our Commonwealth values.
Equivalent to the Olympic torch, the Queen's Baton is scheduled to travel for 294 days, visiting all 72 Commonwealth nations and territories, as well as connecting communities, before returning to Buckingham Palace in London ahead of the opening ceremony of the 2022 Commonwealth Games. Birmingham 2022 will stage the 16th official Queen's Baton relay, and the Games are expected to take place between July 28 and August 8, 2022. In Abuja, Oluseye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Let's now go to politics, as reports from across the state indicate that the All Progressives Congress, APC, conducted 8 state congresses. Ruth Aguele, who compares the report, says some states adopted consensus while others election.
From Akure, Toyin Batiri reports that delegates from the 18 local government areas of the state were elected into the 34 various positions at the state level, where party members expressed satisfaction with the conduct of the exercise.
My charge to them is to keep the unity and the political maturity that exists in our party in Ondo State. The people of APC in the states has entrusted their trust in me.
In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed reports that the party chairman, on behalf of the executives, assures party members of their commitment in fulfilling the party's aspirations.
I will want to assure you all of our resolve to correct the past and work hard for a strong party.
Out of 36 members of the State Executive Committee, 13 are women. This is an unprecedented historical landmark in Kaduna State.
That was the atmosphere during the APC Delegates Congress in the Federal Capital Territory. Ilyasu Onotu Yakubu reports that all 31 former executives were re-elected with security operatives on ground to ensure law and order.
So our responsibility is to reconcile and bring all the members to one umbrella.
99.1% totally in support of what has happened today.
In Ibadan, the scenario was different as the Congress was postponed by the national executive of the party as a result of document forgery to ensure credibility of the process. Lanrig Belei reports that party members who converged at the Liberty Stadium venue turned the situation into a jamboree.
But all the same, you can't just immobilize everybody just like that. People are here and they are celebrating.
Mohammed Goni reports that the Congress was peaceful, with critical party stalwarts in attendance as all party members adopted consensus method for the exercise.
I assure you, we will not fail you and your members.
I believe the outcome of this Congress will be acceptable to all of us, will be beneficial.
In Kano, Ahmad Haruna Zago emerged chairman of the All Progressives Congress Kano State chapter in a parallel Congress. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the exercise witnessed low turnout of party members.
All the elections were conducted peacefully. I assure you that.
Meanwhile, Mir Ogidi also takes a look at some of the APC State Congress election reports filed in from the various states.
In Rivers State, delegates from the 23 local government areas voted to elect their party executives.
Was the reason we couldn't hold, or they didn't allow, they used the court to stop us from having a governorship candidate in 2019. Now, we are following the process. If you remember, same sharing we discussed before, that the party goes by consensus. And you say you're going to court. It's not by consensus, it's by voting.
We still feel we think that there will be room for us to continue to reach out to them and resolve whatever issues there are.
And in Imo State, Dr. Ebere McDonald emerges as the state chairman, while Matthew Omoare is elected deputy state chairman.
I've come to serve, I've come to unite, I've come to amalgamate, and inject fresh air and fresh strength in our party system.
In Edo State, Colonel David Emosho emerged the state chairman of the APC, where delegates from the 18 local government areas embraced consensus arrangement.
A team that is ready, willing, and fully prepared to play the role of credible opposition.
From Asaba, Delta State, Chief Sobotie Omeni emerged as the state chairman, following consensus arrangement.
Chief Omeni, Sobotie should be the state chairman of the Delta State chapter.
To overcome every difficulty as we forge ahead.
In Niger State, it was through consensus arrangement that produced state executives of the party. Though two parallel congresses were held, the one attended by the Niger State Governor Abubakar Sani Bello and the chairman, National Congress Committee Ahmed Suleiman Wabai, was affirmed and recognized as the only APC state executives.
This is the only legitimate gathering, the legitimate assembly that is saddled with this process of electing APC ESCO in Niger State.
We adopted consensus at all levels. elections, we believe, will unite our party supporters, and it has indeed united them.
And in Ekiti State, the immediate past chairman of the party, Paul Omotoso, re-elected through a consensus.
We are not going to let you down. We are going to do our best. We know the enormity of the task ahead of us.
This is what we are about in the APC. We're about progress, we're about stability, and we're about unanimity of purpose.
Mia Ogede, MT News.
President of the Senate, Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, and the Chairman, APC Caretaker Extraordinary Convention and Planning Committee, and Yobe State Governor Mai Malabuni have advised the newly elected State Chairman of the APC to work harmoniously with their executives to ensure victory for the party. They gave the advice after participating in the State Congress in Yobe State. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
Dawn for the APC in Yobe State, the home to the President of the Senate, Ahmad Ibrahim Lawan, and the party's chairman, Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Governor Mai Malabuni, with the emergence of new executive members through consensus, one of the ways approved by the constitution of the party in electing its leaders. The chairman, Yobe State APC Congress Committee, Senator Osita Ozunaso, declares Muhammadu Gadaka as the new state chairman of the party, alongside 35 other executive members, after all the 890 delegates from the 178 political wards in the state have unanimously endorsed them to lead the party.
President Muhammad Buhari is one president that has worked so selflessly, so patriotically to make Nigeria better.
The chairman, APC Caretaker Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, and Yobe State Governor Mai Malabuni, who felicitates with the new executive members, charges them to commit themselves in uniting members to ensure success of the party. The new chairman, Muhammadu Gadaka, on behalf of the executive committee members, pledges to justify the confidence reposed in them. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Now, three factional state chairmen of the All Progressives Congress, APC, have emerged in Lagos State. Cornelius Ojelabi, Sunday Ajayi, and Beatrice Omotayo Tubobo were elected at three separate state congresses of the party, which held simultaneously. Adeniyi Taiwo monitored two of the congresses and now reports.
Described as one of the most peaceful congresses to be held in the state, the All Progressives Congress APC Lagos State Congress was conducted with adherence to the National Party guidelines. Officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) were on ground to observe proceedings. 1,615 delegates participated in the exercise. The 36 aspirants who contested for various positions in the party were returned unopposed by delegates, while Cornelius Ojelabi was unanimously elected as the chairman of the party.
We assure the party members in Lagos State of our commitment to lead the party to greater heights.
Know truly well that this team will take Lagos, will take APC Lagos, will take all of us to a level that will be enviable to the national level.
65-year-old Beatrice Omotayo Tubobo emerged the first female state chairman of APC in Lagos State following her election through affirmation by 1,500 delegates who participated in an exercise conducted by a faction of the party loyal to a former governor of the state, Akinwumi Ambode.
This time around it will be different. Each local government will know what they are going through. We make sure that things fall in line in pleasant places for them.
What I would just advise them is just to have in their mind the commitment to the party.
13 other members of the party's state executive also emerged through consensus. In Lagos, Adeniyi Taiwo, NTA News.
And from Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa reports of peaceful conduct of the state APC Congress. Over 3,200 delegates led by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje cast their votes at the indoor sports complex of the Sani Abacha Stadium, Kano.
3,320 delegates, including members of the National and State Houses of Assembly, cabinet members, and other appointed political office holders, cast their ballots to elect chairman and 50 other executive members of the All Progressives Congress in the state. Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje led them in the exercise, which produced Abdullahi Abbas, who was recently adopted as consensus candidate by the APC stakeholders during a meeting presided over by the governor. Governor Ganduje thanked the delegate and other party stakeholders for the peaceful conduct of the Congress. The State Congress in Kano was pretended by a 7-man delegation from the APC headquarters led by Awal Abdullahi, a party stalwart from Plateau State. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Gombe State leadership of the All Progressives Congress has been decided by consensus. Abbas Mekano reports that all the 36 positions of the party leadership were agreed by the 712 delegates through voice note before the APC National Congress Committee.
Said APC Congress started with accreditation of delegates from the 11 local government areas of the state. Everything was in line with democratic process and APC guidelines. The Congress was also adjudged to be all-inclusive, having given every segment of the APC structure in the state a sense of belonging. Before affirming the consensus by the APC National Congress Committee, party stakeholders took turns enumerating the leadership qualities of Governor Muhammadu Inuwa Yahya, which they said have put Gombe on the path of sustainable development. Speakers, including senators, House of Representative members, party stalwarts, and other stakeholders, pledged their unflinching support and loyalty to the Inuwa Yahya administration.
And we've done it peacefully, with all the tranquility required as directed by our great party. So I would like to urge all party followers and the leadership to go and imbibe this culture.
And we asked for the voice vote and all the 712 said they agreed. We asked for any dissenting voice and there was none. So as far as we are concerned, the Congress has been very successful.
The newly elected chairman of the party in Gombe State, Mr. Niti Amangal, discouraged campaign of blackmail and mudslinging with opposition parties ahead of 2023 elections and suggested dialogue as means of amicable resolution in case of internal crisis. In Gombe, Abbas Mekano, NTA News.
APC caretaker chairman in Ogun State, Yemi Sanusi, has emerged as consensus state chairman of All Progressives Congress in Ogun State. However, another faction loyal to former Ogun State governor and senator representing Ogun Central Senatorial District, Ibikunle Amosu, also held their parallel congress at Ake Palex ground, where Dering Adebiyi was elected as chairman of the executives of APC in the state. Yemi Dalemo reports.
Dapo Abiodun led 1,730 delegates from 236 wards of 20 local government areas in Ogun State to MQ Abiola Mimbo, Abeokuta, to elect state leaders for the party. APC caretaker chairman in Ogun State, Yemi Sanusi, emerged as chairman of the APC state executives, while Adele Betela was elected secretary of the party. Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun described the exercise as seamless and advised elected officers to work for the overall success of the party at the forthcoming general election.
Place the party first. The loyalty is to none other but APC.
Similarly, other factions loyal to former Ogun State Governor and Senator representing Ogun Central Senatorial District, Ibikunle Amosun, admitted 7,552 delegates into the Arcade to elect their state leaders. At the end, Dering Adebiyi emerged as chairman and Oluwatoye Adebusiwa was elected as secretary of the 22-member state executives of the party.
It's an affirmation of the strength of the party. Most of the things that we have done is by consensus.
The crowd is massive and very encouraging.
However, unsuccessful attempt was made by some hoodlums to disrupt the conduct as they invaded the venue with dangerous weapons and destroyed some vehicles belonging to some party members. In Abeokuta, Yemi Dalemo, NTA News.
The chairman, APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention and Planning Committee, Governor Mai Malabuni, says the party has put in place conflict resolution measures to address differences that may arise from the state congresses and other disagreements. He therefore urged the state congress committees to be fair and just to all candidates. In the meantime, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, also conducted congresses in some states as compiled by Jumei Yusuf. We seem to be having issues there. Well, let's tell you that the deputy chairman of the People's Democratic Party National Campaign Council for the November 6th governorship election in Anambra State and governor of Delta State, Ifeanyi Okowa, says party members in the Southeast will be adequately mobilized to work for the victory of its candidate, Valentine Ozigbo. Timothy Yusuf reports that the Action Democratic Party has also inaugurated its campaign council for the forthcoming poll.
We are going to put in our all to ensure that we reconcile everyone and that we'll go into that election as one body.
The PDP governorship candidate for the Anambra election says he was in Delta State where he already met with indigents of the state resident there to sell his manifesto to them ahead of the poll.
I am coming into being by the special grace of God, not just as the governor of Anambra State, but governor that Igbo nation is proud of. This is the man of today. This is the man of tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the leadership of the Action Democratic Party has inaugurated its National Campaign Council for the November 6th governorship election in Anambra State.
The major thing that we are going to do to win Anambra is to engage the grassroots.
What wins election is how you relate to people on the ground.
National chairman of the party, Yaba Gisani, who presided over the inauguration, asked the Independent National Electoral Commission to adopt the electronic transmission of results for the poll. In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTN.
Away from politics, federal government workers who are yet to receive COVID-19 vaccination still have 6 weeks to receive their jabs or risk being shut out from their offices across the country. Correspondent Mitara Iben reports that the decision to enforce compulsory vaccination in the country, beginning with federal government workers, was conveyed by the Chairman, Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 and Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, after an emergency meeting of the committee in Abuja.
Effect from 1st December 2021. All federal government employees shall be required, all without exception, shall be required to show proof of COVID-19 vaccination or present a negative COVID-19 PCR test result done within 72 hours to gain access to their places of work in all locations within Nigeria and in our missions. An appropriate service-wide advisory / circular will be issued to guide the process.
Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, speaking there. Now, gold's worth millions of naira have been destroyed by fire in the early hours of today at Itobe Market, situated along the river bank of Itobe, Anyaba Highway in Kogi State. Jibola Christopher, who visited the scene of the inferno, reports that no life was lost.
Market, engulfed by fire at about 5 a.m. this morning, is located at the river bank of Ajaokuta Itobe Bridge of a Fuloko government area. The market, a gateway to the southeast state in the country, eyewitnesses say the cause is as a result of electric spark, stressing that goods worth millions of naira were destroyed by the inferno.
I lost the whole shop entirely. Nothing was pulled out of the shop as at the time of the fire hazard.
Everything destroyed. I couldn't pick anything.
Immediately happened, I called on some youths to make sure they take necessary action to make sure put off the fire.
As you see, this place is very big. The damage of this place, no less than 400 million.
The traditional ruler of Itobe community, Alhaji Sali Ocholi, who sympathized with the victims, expressed shock, saying no lives were lost.
People struggling to make ends meet, applicants into small-scale businesses, everything they had worked for has gone down in this inferno. So we are appealing to the general public, good-spirited individual, to to come to the aid of these victims so that they can start off with their capital again.
From Itobe, Ofuloko government area, Ajibola Christopher, NTA News.
You're watching Weekend File on the NTA Network service. President Muhammadu Buhari sends warm felicitations to former Director General of National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Senator Bashir Garba-Lado, on his 55th birthday. The president joins members of the All Progressives Congress, APC, the senator's family members and friends in celebrating the landmark age, taking into consideration his contributions to national development from a very young age as a businessman and administrator. President Buhari commends the former lawmaker who also served as Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons for his dedication, discipline and focus evidenced in his contributions at the Senate and providing leadership. We earlier told you about the federal government decision not to allow federal government workers who are yet to be vaccinated against COVID-19 from going back to their offices, and that is in the next 6 weeks. And so joining us via Zoom from Ibadan now is a professor of virology, Oyewole Tomori. Good evening to you, Professor.
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
Let's critically look at this decision by the federal government and what really might be the problem with those who are yet to get vaccinated against COVID-19, in spite of all the noise that have been made about the pandemic.
Yeah, I think it's a very good decision by the PSC at this time, because I think they fulfill all of the conditions that will make it possible for people to get their vaccine. We're told that there's enough vaccine for the federal government civil servants, and they've been given time within which to get that vaccine by December 1, which I think is a very good step. And they give an alternative also, that if you don't want the vaccine, you can go for the test. So it's a matter of choice. But I think for the sake of everybody, for the sake of the people themselves, it is important that they get the vaccine, and so that they don't become a source of infection to other people. I mean, the federal government has the right to protect the life of the rest of the people. That's why I fully support what the government has done this time.
Then, to what extent has some religious beliefs, gone in affecting the decisions of people? Because we do know that there are some religious leaders who have continued to tell their congregation not to believe in the system entirely. What is your advice on this matter?
I think, first of all, what we need to do, everybody has his opinion is right, but your opinion should not affect my life. But let me carefully address our religious leaders. If they go back to the Bible studies in those days, in the Old Testament, actually the priests were what are called the incident managers of disease prevention and control. And if they go back and read their Bible properly, in some of those Old Testament, you find that anybody who was sick with a disease that what we call plague or something, first reported to the priest, who then will examine the person. And if it is a serious case, we tell them to go into isolation. 7 days or so later, they come back and the priest will look at them. So let our religious leaders also read a little bit of their own Bible and see that long before time, the person in charge of disease prevention and control were actually the priests. So nowadays, one would have thought that the best thing would be, and what do they have, really? What are the reasons that they have? All of the reasons, many of them are given, have been debunked. And we can see thousands of millions of people all over the world who have been vaccinated. And we're seeing that they are trying to get back their normal life. And that's what we're asking for here. Let people get the freedom to take the vaccine. And we've not seen how many, what I call the side effects that they're talking about is not occurring. So really, I think all we can do is to appeal to them again. We can get back to them and get their people, point them in the right direction. And even in their own churches and on their mosques and those places, they have rules and regulations about who can come in, what kind of dress you can wear, what are the conditions. So also the government has the right to look at this in the same way we're looking at that. Federal Government Secretariat is a place open for everybody, and therefore you must protect anybody that is coming in. And that's why I think I like what the government has done by insisting that, look, get your vaccine, and enough time for you to get it. But if you don't want to get it, then go and get tested. And remember, the test is only lasts for 72 hours. So every 72 hours, they must go and get their test. So they have a choice, which is better for them. Pay for 40,000 twice a week to get tested, or get your vaccine and protect your loved ones.
Thank you very much, Professor Oyewale Tomori, Professor of Virology, for sharing your thoughts with us on this matter tonight on the news. Ministry of Water Resources is one of the leading champions of the current government's policy of completing ongoing and abandoned projects. In this report, we'll look at how this policy is changing tide in the drive to quench the thirst of millions of Nigerians still in dire need of this essential commodity, water, and its management. Musbau Danwahab will take it up.
The water project we completed between 2015 to 2020.
President Buhari is yet again gratified with his administration's stride in water sector. His reasons: the distances are cut short, more time saved, access improved, and more thirst quenched through urban and rural water supply schemes. That is the news story here in Irolu, Ikenne local government area of Ogun State, one of the 8 LGAs where federal and state partnership has worked under PWASH in the state.
It has been making life so easy for me because I don't need to stress myself like going around and fetch water down and there. I just have to come here and get my water and do whatever I want to do. In fact, it has really helped us.
The initiative to bolster water supply in rural areas has also ensured 100% access to the essential commodity in another 8 councils in Kano State, the second pilot state, while some projects are currently taking place in 10 more states. The administration's drive to boost food security is gaining momentum through irrigated agriculture, and more hectares are being added to the national irrigable land. The flagship is the Transforming Irrigation Management in Nigeria, TRIMIN, a World Bank-funded program which is not only rehabilitating public irrigation facilities but also building capacity of farmers under Bakalori, Dadinkowa, Hadejia Valley, Middle Rima, and Kano River irrigation schemes.
And this, we want to make sure it is, well sustained and scaled up so that we'll be able to make sure we take Nigeria out of countries that normally depend on importation of food.
Apart from the life-saving Kashimbela multi-purpose dam in Taraba State, 11 other dams across the country have been completed.
Some projects like Urara Hydropower were waiting for concessioning. We managed to do that. Adada Dam in Enugu State, Ile-Ife Dam, Ogbese Dam in Ekiti State. There are quite a number of them. Mangu Dam in Plateau.
I would say the government have fared well. They've repaired most of our dams. Repairing a dam is one thing, but do we have people having access to tap water for running water during the COVID?
The administration's achievements in the water sector notwithstanding, there seems to be a lot of ground still to cover ahead of the 2030 SDGs target. As WaterAid Nigeria says, 60 million people in the country are yet to have access to basic water supply. In Abuja, Musbau and Wahab, NTA News.
To discussion tonight as we have the Honorable Minister of Water Resources, Suleiman Adamu, joining us via Zoom. Honorable Minister, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening.
Of course, we also have the former Director, Water Supply, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Benson Ajishegiri, in the studio with me. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Let's quickly go to the Minister. Of course, the federal government has done quite a lot in the area of provision of water supply, but we keep asking for more. Where do we go from here? Because 12.5 million additional Nigerians now direct access to water, but we still want more before the end of maybe 2022. So what is going to happen next, Honorable Minister?
Well, what's going to happen is just for us to be able to continue to push on our programs. We've laid all the programs on ground. The PWASH Partners for Expanded Water, Sanitation, Hygiene program for the rural areas, and the WASH Action Plan that was launched by Mr. President on November 8, 2018, followed by a formal declaration of state of emergency on the water sector. These are the two key programs that we're working on to ensure that there's an improved supply of water to the people. But let me say for the umpteenth time, whatever the federal government is doing is just to support, it's an intervention. The primary responsibility for provision of water supply to the people rests with the state governments and the local governments. What has been happening is that over the years, state governments and local governments have not been invested as they should. And that is why the declaration of state of emergency was done. And that is why the PWASH program was launched, so that we incentivize the state to take water, to give it the highest political recognition and support at governmental level in all states, so that they can prioritize their investment to ensure that they give all the necessary financial backing and whatever political backing they can towards the provision of water supply. And we need to appreciate that water is a dynamic process, because water supply is based on the demand of the population. And as populations continue to rise, there must be a commensurate effort to keep pace with the rise of population in our investment for water infrastructure. Again, this has not been happening. So until the state governments and the local governments take the issue of water a priority, all the efforts that the federal government is doing will not really provide the solution. To get everybody covered. Obviously, the federal government cannot do it on its own. So what we need is to see states doing more. While this administration will also continue to invest as much as it can in the provision of water supply. We're already working with 12 states on PWASH. We're getting another 5 more states coming on board. By the time we finish with this 12 states, 48 rural communities, the rural communities in 48 local governments, almost all the rural communities will have access to water supply. But then it's a continuous process. There is no end to it, really.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll come back to you, Honorable Minister. Let's bring in Benson Ajishegiri on this matter. It's quite a good thing that water is getting adequate attention across board. And then the minister just made a statement, very important one. The states are supposed to be in the forefront of providing this very, very essential commodity, but most of them are yet to key into the project. Although we've seen some states, already into that. What is really happening, and how do we get out of it?
All right, thank you very much. Let me just add to what my minister has said.
Okay.
Now, I'd like to say that the federal government is supposed to provide the required leadership and then develop national programs that the state will key into. And since the advent of this administration under the President Muhammadu Buhari and in the leadership of Engineer Suleiman Adamu, that leadership has been there. Before the advent of this, administration, we used to say that it's no political will, to put water supply and sanitation in perspective in Nigeria. But these things have become the things of the past now, because the right political will is now on the ground at the federal level. And this was demonstrated in November 2018 when the president launched the National WASH Action Plan. And he didn't just launch it, he declared a state of emergency, meaning that we're going to pay more attention to the issue of water supply and sanitation in Nigeria. And then this was followed by the Room Minister launching several programs, several initiatives, which the Room Minister has mentioned that are currently being implemented. So what is required of the state is for the same political will to be demonstrated at the sub-national level, because federal government cannot do it alone. We are to provide the leadership, provide the enabling environment and what is required. For us to make adequate progress in the water sector, it requires three major areas. Number one is what I've mentioned, which is the political will. And the political will translate to policy, to programs and projects, which is what the Federal Minister of Water Resources under the minister has done. Then the second part has to do with funding and financing. Funding and financing has to come from all levels. The federal government, the state government, the local government, even the private sector have to contribute to it because it's so humongous. We are going to provide water to the teeming population that we have in the country. As mentioned by the Home Minister, that the population is growing. So we need to grow with the population. We need to catch up with the population. And then the third leg of it is adequate monitoring and evaluation system. And this also has been demonstrated by the Federal Minister of Water Resources under the minister when he launched what we call WASH-NOM. WASH-NOM means Water Supply, Sanitation and Hygiene National Outcome Routine Mapping. It's an annual survey that will tell us where we are, who is doing what. Are we better this year than last year? Which area do we need to focus on? That was launched in 2018. 2019 has taken place. I think the survey for 2020 has been completed, and the analysis is currently ongoing. By the time they finish, we will know where we are. As of 2019, we say we are 71% access. So I'm sure by the time we finish 2020, we will see the progress that we have made, or if we have also reversed, we will know at the end of that. But I believe progress will have been made.
Yes, progress will really have to be the watchword there. Yes. Let's go back to the Honorable Minister of Water Resources. Of course, what synergy does your ministry have in terms of aligning with the states we are talking about to really develop this so-called political will and then begin to look at other practical means of making it happen at their own level?
Well, we have done quite a lot. I have done advocacy visits to the states, many states. I have addressed state governors at various forums like the National Economic Council and the Governors Forum. Every year, when we get this WASH-NOM report that Engineer Benson was talking about, we make sure that every state, we discretize it and make sure that every state has its own data, and we submit to the states to inform them how they are doing. And then, like I said, like the PWASH program is an incentive. It's meant to incentivize the states. Federal government is committing 50% to this program with participating states, and they are supposed to bring in another 30%. And in the last 3 years, we have created a budget line in the ministry's budget that will enable states to come and get a federal government support of up to 30% of what they require to invest in urban water schemes. I think we recently signed an MOU with Gombe State, that state being the first to come forward to be able to be part of this. And then we do workshops, we do a lot of things, we do capacity building, we do all kinds of training for the state government. And then this WASH Action Plan, it has specific actions that the state governments need to do. There are specific actions for the federal government, for the state government, for the local government, and so on. In addition to that, we've gone further to work with the World Bank to obtain a facility, a $700 million facility that will be used, half of it will be used to support urban water schemes. Now, I think about 7 states have qualified for that program, and the remaining $350 million is going to be used to support a rural water scheme. So there's a lot of synergy. And not only that, we also have synergy even within the federal government itself with other ministries, departments and agencies. For instance, our data for Ministry of Health, Water and Sanitation and Hygiene, and Ministry of Education, the data is so dismal that we were working under a steering committee so that we can get even those educational and health institutions to get a better deal in terms of water supply, sanitation, and hygiene. So much is going on, so much interaction. And then, of course, we're also working on what we call a WASH fund. We're looking forward to a legislation that will provide for a WASH fund for the country, under which state governments can It may be a borrowing platform, it may be a grant platform or whatever. The details are being worked out. But all these are being done at federal level to support state governments and to incentivize them so that there will be no excuse from some national level that they are not being able to provide water to the people.
Thank you, Honorable Minister of Water Resources. Thanks for your time on the news tonight. Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
We'll now go on a short break. We'll return very shortly. Welcome back. We still have Benson Adishegiri in the studio with us. What is your parting word on this matter of water provision and usage?
Well, I want to believe that it is possible for us to meet the Sustainable Development Goal targets for water supply and sanitation in Nigeria. Going with all that have been put in place at the federal level. I was privileged to be in the service during the MDG, and I saw that such arrangements were never made, and that's when Nigeria went off track. But with the solid arrangement that has been made at the federal level, which is currently cascading, to the state level, is a momentum that we need to build on. The synergy has to be strong so that we can achieve the Sustainable Development Goals of leaving nobody behind.
Thank you very much.
At the end of
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We wish us luck.
Thank you very much.
We've been talking with the former Director, Water Supply, Federal Ministry of Water Resources, Benson Adishegiri. Now, let's also tell you that Tanzania's Michael Sangier and Jacqueline Sakilu emerged winners in male and female categories of the first Chiefs of Defense Staff Osman Sahel Games Marathon Race. Omoyewen Unubun has more.
October saw the first CDS Usman Sahel Military Games. An impressive 66 runners took to the streets of Abuja, demonstrating their strength. Tanzanian athlete Michael Sanga was a comfortable winner of the men's race, crossing the line with a time of 2 hours, 19 minutes, 39 seconds. His compatriot Ezekiel Unginemba followed in second place, while Fuhimi Justile from Cameroon took third.
Nashukuru kwa kupata, but he's happy for the victory.
The women's race was another Tanzanian 1-2 victory as Jacqueline Sakilu won in a time of 2 hours, 43 minutes, 10 seconds.
The competition is very good.
Expertise and camaraderie that has been established and exhibited in this games is something that is exemplary.
In the men's invitational relay 4x100-meter race, Nigeria Police Force came first, while in the women's category, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps took first.
The performance is good, and the Sahel countries, most of them came prepared.
He has brought me to reorganize and reposition the Civil Defense Corps.
347 participating soldiers took part in the game, and the flag was handed to Chad for the second edition in 2022. In Abuja,
cancer is a leading cause of about 70% deaths in most low and middle-income countries. This high death rate by World Health Organization findings is attributable to late presentation of cases, poor management, and weak healthcare systems. This informed the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and her partners to embark on a sensitization road walk on the various types of cancer and AIDS prevention to mark the International Cancer Week.
We hope that this awareness program will help to ensure reduction in the number of not only female genital mutilation, but cancer patients by the year 2030. We cannot continue to destroy our young girls and destroy their future. That most of these cuts sometimes leads to death.
The road walk took off from the old parade ground and terminated at the Ministry of Women Affairs, Abuja. Weather report for Sunday is next.
Glad to see you again.
For Sunday morning, there are prospects of thunderstorms to parts of Katsina, Zamfara, Kaduna, parts of the FCT, including Kebbi, Niger, and Kwara State. A few parts of Oyo, Delta, Lagos, and Cross River have prospects of morning thunderstorms as well. Around lunchtime to far parts of the afternoon, we expect thunderstorms to the north. This should touch parts of Adamawa, Taraba, Gombe, parts of Sokoto, and Kebbi State. We also see prospects of thunderstorms to the FCT, Plateau, and parts of Benue. And by late afternoon into evening time, the rain should make its way to the southern part of the country. And that's it from here. I am Akami Samarda. Thanks for watching.
That concludes Weekend File on the NTA tonight. Many thanks to you for watching, and do join the NTA in the fight against rape and rapists. I am Kenan Ima Abudike. Good night.